Tonight on KGW News, the ice storm leads to unimaginable loss.
I had 6 kids, I lost 2 of them in one day.
How they got caught in a live power line, and the neighbor who helped save a baby from the same fate.
I had him. He was alert. I was happy about that.
Then big news for travelers trying to get through the gorge. ODOT reopens I-84 ahead of more freezing rain in the forecast. Plus, thawing out in the city is going to take a little more time.
I've never experienced anything like this, and yeah, I drive a lot.
How some are getting creative to get around those still slick side streets. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko. We'll check in with Matt and our team of reporters in just a moment. But we begin tonight with heartbreak in Northeast Portland. That is where firefighters responded today to a call of a live power line that had fallen onto a vehicle. Tonight, we're hearing from the father of 2 of the 3 people who lost their lives and the neighbor who saw something was horrifically wrong and stepped in at great risk themselves to save a baby. A warning, some of the details here are disturbing.
I seen from my window from this podium right here like a big flash, and at first I thought it was a gunshot.
Instead, it was a tree branch falling on a power line.
And my wife and me was getting in the car right there to go to the store. And next thing we heard a loud boom. And my wife's like, oh my God, that car is on fire.
And it kept getting worse because in the next few moments, Ronald Briggs would lose his 21-year-old daughter, Tajalia, her boyfriend, Nash, the father of his grandson, and his 15-year-old son, Tamron.
I had 6 kids, I lost 2 of them in one day.
And next-door neighbor Majaya Washington says once the live power line fell on the red SUV just before noon Wednesday near Northeast 122nd and Siskiyou, and everyone scrambled out on the ice, Nash was first to go.
Slip right there. He slipped and he fell. His shoe touched the wire and caught a little bit of fire on his foot, and then he was smoking after that.
My son tried to go down, my 15-year-old son tried to go down there, and I told him don't go down there, to get away from him, and he slid. And he touched the water, and he died too.
Though somehow Ronald's 9-month-old grandson was still alive.
True, his dad saved his life. He laid on top of his dad.
I know like some people might say it's probably like a dumb decision, but I had I don't know, I just felt like I had to go get that baby. And I had him. He was alert. I was happy about that, but you know, like it's hard to be happy when the case of events.
It just hurt that I can't see my kids die and can't do nothing about it. Being a good father, but being a good father cannot solve this right now today.
One father who suffered so much loss in a single day. And while his 9-month-old grandson, we understand, is spending the night in the hospital in good condition, thank goodness for that. Tonight we have learned the grief goes beyond Nash, beyond Tajalia, beyond Tamron, a sophomore at Milwaukee High, with Ronald sharing his daughter was also 6 months pregnant. This now makes at least 10 people killed in this series of storms, 2 others from falling trees, and 5 from suspected hypothermia. You know what, tonight with the ice and temperatures hovering around freezing, those risks remain very real. Right now it's about 34 degrees in the Rose City with the potential in some spots tomorrow for more freezing rain. Once again, we have team coverage including the reopening of I-84 through the gorge and challenging conditions on neighborhood streets. But first to Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino on what's coming in the next 24 hours. Matt?
Well, you know, there is some good news, David. The temperatures are pretty much holding steady right now. I really don't think they're going to drop overnight. In fact, they may go up a degree or 2. So we won't have a big refreeze, and the freezing rain that comes tomorrow will be much more limited in the areas that it impacts. And because temperatures are warmer, it's going to be hard for that to actually stick and do what happened last night and create a glaze of ice on everything. I don't think that's going to happen. We're at 34 degrees across much of Portland, but if you head just south of downtown, it climbs to 37 degrees, 38 degrees, and eventually up to 40. And you can see that 37 in Aurora, but it's still 34 for Portland, Vancouver, 35 in Troutdale. They warmed up a little bit more than Portland. And Hood River is back down to 32. They actually got above freezing for a brief time tonight, which is good news. You can see some more temperatures here. 36 Sherwood, 35 West Linden. Happy Valley up on the hill, tapping into that warmer air aloft, got up to and is at 40 degrees right now. So at least we've seen sun warming. A little bit of rain right now, but mainly just light rain or drizzle. We will see that rain increase in the morning hours as a warm front approaches us and brings us that next batch of rain, and the east winds will re-strengthen too. Notice some freezing rain over the coast range, but we'll zoom in on the area where it has the most population, and that'll be the east part of Portland and out into the gorge. Now for Troutdale, even 1/10 of an inch of ice or less, but again, I don't think it's going to coat the roads because it won't be as cold as it was last night, and there may be some light freezing rain making it as far west as about I-205, but that should be it. Temperatures will be cold tomorrow. We're only going to make it to the mid-30s or so, but most areas will remain above freezing. It's just that East County area that we need to be concerned with. Light freezing rain, also pockets are possible in the West Hills of some light freezing rain happening up there. Strong east winds, mainly the east side of Portland, the gorge, and the West Hills too. So another, basically cold, wet, and windy day for us. But things are beginning to look up a little bit, and we'll have more on the bigger thaw that comes our way a little later, David.
Hey, we'll take looking up. Thank you, Matt. Tonight, we have some good news as well for drivers with I-84 through the gorge now back open. ODOT making that announcement within the last couple of hours. On the Washington side of the Columbia, State Route 14 remains closed, though, at least for now. So let's get right to Alma McCarty. She's live in Troutdale for us this evening with the very latest. Alma.
Well, David, out here in Troutdale, you can definitely tell that things are beginning to warm up and ice is beginning to melt slowly but surely. For a while this afternoon, we really had no idea whether the stretch of road behind me, 84, was going to reopen to drivers, but it appears that conditions have changed enough. ODOT reopening those gates at around 9:45 this evening to allow all types of vehicles back on the road. From milepost 17 to 64, or in other words, from Troutdale to Hood River, I-84 remained closed for most of the day Wednesday. The only drivers allowed on this stretch of road, the ODOT crews for round-the-clock work.
They've been plowing as much slush off as they can and scraping the ice. They've been laying down sand and salt and de-icer in layers so that when temperatures start to rise, all of those things will activate and start to help break up all of the ice and snow that's accumulated.
Temperatures did start to rise, but not enough to reopen the interstate through the gorge until 9:45 at night. On the other side of the Columbia, icy conditions shut down State Route 14 to all drivers Wednesday afternoon. We spoke with transportation officials earlier in the evening.
We know it's really hard to wait, and it's been a long time, and we feel that, and we're trying our best to throw everything we can at the gorge.
Among those who waited for a while to get moving once again, Patrick and Ibrahim, truck drivers who made the trip Tuesday from Spokane to Portland.
We don't know how long, but we're stuck here.
We have to deal it with. We can do nothing about it. We're just stuck here.
While it's not ideal, they're heading to Salt Lake City next. They told me staying put was the best option until conditions got better.
I got like 39,000 pounds load behind me. So when it's icy, you have to be more patient and careful because you cannot stop right away. And it's hard to control 53-foot trailer.
And their patience paid off. After 31 hours, ODOT opened I-84, once again stressing that although crews worked to break up the ice, some areas are still slick. Back live, we checked in with the Hood River Sheriff's Office just to see how things were going on the other side of the gorge, and they tell us there's really not much to report. There was light traffic during all the winter weather, and there were no crashes of any significance. They said if there had been more people out on the road, they would have expected many more problems due to all this ice. David?
Yeah, thank goodness that did not happen. Alma McCarty in Troutdale. Thanks, Alma. Well, tonight the message from Portland transportation officials continues to be avoid travel if you can, and that caution extends into tomorrow morning. This is why on the left is Barber Boulevard. That's a busy thoroughfare that's, of course, mostly clear thanks to plows and lots of traffic. On the right, though, a neighborhood street still covered in a sheet of ice that could easily have you sliding. We've seen it firsthand. Let's send it out to Catherine Cook, who spent the evening in one of the worst spots in town. She's now live in Drive 8. Catherine?
Well, David, the big question for folks tonight who are planning to head back to work tomorrow morning is, can I make it out of my neighborhood? Well, the answer obviously depends on which neighborhood you're in, and even then the answer isn't exactly clear. Let's take you outside of Drive 8 now for a live look at where we are in southwest Portland. We're in the Goose Hollow neighborhood. You can see crews still out and about. That's a tow truck. And then the roads here are very sloppy, slushy, icy in some areas still. I can tell you, if you don't have four-wheel drive or traction devices and you live in a hilly area, it is going to be tough. The thaw has started, but as we saw today, some areas are taking a little longer to melt.
Shoveling out. With temperatures finally above freezing, people in southwest Portland's Crestwood neighborhood spent Wednesday figuring out where to go from here.
It's definitely like a huge difference from like yesterday, but yeah, it looks like Mother Nature needs a little helping hand.
Especially in spots like Southwest 50th Avenue off Taylor's Ferry Road. Alicia Crossman chanced it.
This is the first road that when I realized, okay, don't do it, I started to slide on the ice. It was too late and I got stuck, so there was no stopping it.
When we met Alicia, she'd already been waiting here 2 hours for a tow truck. A few minutes later, we watched as PBOT crews closed both ends of the street.
I'm glad that they're stopping other people from coming down because it's kind of concerning. This is bad.
And then we met this dear soul, just back from the grocery store. He used a garbage can lid to help him negotiate this hill. It's clear no municipality could possibly clear every side street like this one. And so neighbors stand up for themselves and try not to slip.
This is crazy.
Crazy could melt a little faster if it doesn't mind. Maybe a few more shovels, degrees, and days.
We'll see what happens then.
How about spring?
Yes, please. Back live here in Drive 8 in southwest Portland. You can see slow going, folks taking their time. The ground is sloppy, especially on these surface streets. Now here's something to think about. If you end up getting stuck and abandoning your vehicle in a travel lane, it is a huge pain, of course, and it could cost you more than $500 in citation and towing charges. And that's just one reason, with driving conditions still so uncertain, that PBOT continues to advise people to stay home and delay travel, including tomorrow morning. David, we'll send you back to you.
Yeah, school closures running right now on the bottom of your screen. Catherine Cook out there in Drive 8. Thank you, Catherine. Our coverage of the recovery from the ice storm continues, and straight ahead, slick sidewalks, who's responsible? We verify whether you have to keep your patch clear. That's next.